Okay, we're live. It's actually 10:25. It's not 10:30 just yet. So I'm just going to use this opportunity to share with everybody that we're live on our Twitter feed as well. So bear with me now that we're live. There's a link URL we can share to join. Go here. There we go. Stay at home. Science at home. There we go. Okay. Hi, Ralph. Okay, we're just going to wait for 4 more minutes. Let's see. Okay. And oops, there we go. Okay. Well, let's see now. What are we going to do till everybody shows up? That's probably the most awkward thing when you're just standing there in front of partial audience and you're waiting for everybody to show up. Hello, Maze. Is it Maze? I guess so. I'm just reading your user tags as they come along. Okay, let me see. What can we do until everything gets started? Well, I'll just give you a quick brief of what I have here with me. So you can never go wrong without having your markers, right? So get your markers. This one is actually pretty fancy. It's dual tip markers. So that's a fancy one, but you don't have to. Any coloring pens is fine. Even crayons can work. What else do I have here for you today? I have construction paper. Look at all these colors. Isn't that beautiful? How many colors you can get? There we go. See? You see the colors? Which way am I going? This way? See all these beautiful color construction paper? I don't know about you guys, but when we were looking into what do we need at home before the movement will be more and more harder to get out of the house, and we want to limit our movement out of the house, probably one of the things that we had on our list was to go and buy arts and crafts materials, right? How about you guys? Are you stocked up on your arts and crafts materials? Hi, Jane. All your pipe cleaners, all your stickers and coloring and glues, hot glue, cold glue, white glue, foam, construction foam, pom-poms, bits and pieces. Yeah? Okay. That's the only way to survive this, right? When you're staying at home, you want to make sure you can do lots of fun at home. So always stock up on good stuff. Is it time? What do you think? It's 10:29 on my end. I'm just going to wait for it. I'll twiddle my thumbs. Can you twiddle your thumbs? Here, I'll make it here so it's more visible. Actually, I'll go on my screen there. Oh, that's a surprise for later. Don't watch. There we go. Oop. I'll twiddle my thumbs. Okay, you know what? I think it's 10:30. Hello, everyone. Good morning, and hailing from Toronto, Canada, my name is Alon Eisenstein, and I am with Pueblo Science. Whoop. Pueblo, the other way around. Pueblo Science. There we go. And just of a quick brief, if you've never heard of Pueblo Science, I'll just give you a one-liner. Pueblo Science is a charity based in Toronto, Canada, and we provide professional development for science teachers and educators across the world, focusing on rural, remote communities with low access to resources and educational materials. And that's why we like to have fun with parents and kids and see what they like and what we like and how things work with very easy to access, easy to obtain, low cost, recycled, reclaimed materials. And that's what we're going to do today. So last week we had a full 1 hour session, and I heard from some of you that felt slightly too long. So this time we're going to aim for 30 minutes. So we're going to wrap up by 11 a.m. And that will give you more time to then work on your arts and crafts when we're done. And if you feel that 30 minutes is too short, we can try 45 minutes next time and see if that's the magic number that satisfies people. Not too short, not too long, just right. Goldilocks had it right, didn't she? Okay, so what we're going to do today. Our first experiment will be an oscillating woodpecker. One thing that I heard from some of the viewers last time is it would make sense if I show you the end product before we begin, and then we can do it together. So first one is they're going to be the oscillating woodpecker. Here's my little woodpecker. It's hanging on an elastic band, and I'm going to hold it with my hand, one hand here on the top. Oops, the elastic just came off. And I'm going to hold it with the elastic band on the very top, and I'm going to let go and see what happens. Whoop, whoop, and you see it's coming down, it's oscillating, and there it goes. This is a fun little activity. It shows how we have a lot of energy in the top, and it's converted to another type of energy. We'll talk about that when we're all done. But before we begin, I want to just give an acknowledgement to the Science Toy Maker. Science Toy Maker Slater is an educator with decades of experience. He's based out of the US, and he runs the website called Science Toy Maker. You can find him on Facebook as well, Science Toy Maker Facebook page. We have, there's a downloadable printout. You can get a PDF and print out the sketch, how to make it. But we're not going to actually, you don't need to print it out. I'm going to show you roughly how to get the size roughly right for this activity to work. But if you do have a printer, next time you want to print it out, you're more than welcome to do that. And give a shout out to Slater, the Science Toy Maker, for his wonderful sketches and activities on his website. Worth checking out for sure. And he's also supporting a lot of charitable and outreach activities in the US and in India as well. Okay, so how are we going to make our little bird? So the first thing we want to do is I'm going to switch this around to my slanted mirror here. So we're going to start with construction paper, right? So it works better with stiff paper, so nothing too flimsy. So you want to grab either construction paper or Bristol board. You can even use cardboard. The construction paper I have here in Toronto from the dollar store is actually pretty stiff enough. And I get the choice of here. You can see the colors. I can choose any color I want. So just for the sake of fun, I'll take blue for the body. And oops, there we go. And I'll grab red for the wings. Okay, so that's step number one. So why don't we start with the body, and then we'll move to the wings. So what we're gonna do now is step number one, and I see that we have the link to the printable PDF on our chat box if you want to grab it. Otherwise, you can just follow my lead, and we'll do it. It's simple enough that you can just draw it from your free imagination of what a bird looks like. So the first step I'm doing is we want to have a duplicate of the bird, and then we're going to fold it into half. So we want to make sure both sides are symmetric. And to do that, the best way is to just fold the construction paper into half. Now, to get a size that is reasonable, I'm going to use a ruler Again, you don't have to have a ruler, but it'll just make it easier for me to kind of give you an idea of what to expect on the size. So what I found to be reasonable, and if you print out the one from Slater from the toy maker, you can see the scale there. You want to have a box that's roughly 6 centimeters in width, which is just about 2.5 inches, and the length itself would be around 10. So it's roughly 10 by 6. There we go. And again, so the width of the box is about 2.5 inches or 6 centimeters, and the length of the box is about 4 inches or of the order of 10 centimeters. Again, all these are very rough estimates. They don't need to be super precise, so don't get too obsessed about it. But that's roughly what we would like to aim for. Once you have drawn your box, and I want to make sure that you understand that the box is such that the long edge is parallel to the fold of the construction paper. So when we open it, if we open it up, right, and you imagine that we're going to cut this out twice, then we're going to have a super wide box, right? So we can actually, at this point, we can actually cut it out so you get the gist of it. So I'm going to cut my box out. So I'm cutting one side and I'm cutting the other side, and I don't need this blue anymore, so we're going to leave it for later. But now I have a folded piece of construction paper, and again, this is a roughly 10 centimeters or 4 inches, and the width here is about 2.5 or 6 centimeters, and if I open it up, it's going to be twice, so it's going to be about 5 inches or 12 centimeters. We're going to keep working on it folded to make sure that we get it symmetric. What I want to do now is I want to find the center roughly halfway through this longer edge of the crease. So because it's about, I said, 6 centimeters, then I can use a ruler and just put a little mark. Sorry, this is 10 centimeters. I'm going to put a mark on the 5 centimeter mark. Or if you're using inches, a 4-inch, half would be 2 inches. And now I'm just going to make a little mark. And the reason I'm putting a little mark is, if you remember my bird, you can see how the bird has the protrusion here that's going to hold onto the elastic. And so that's why I want to make sure it's slightly below the center. So in this case, this is going to be the mark here. So that's why I'm marking it halfway through. So I'm going to make a line roughly till the center, right? Roughly till the center, and another line parallel, and this would be about 1 inch or 2 centimeters below. So I can either do 2.5 or 1 inch. And again, I'm all doing it very roughly. It doesn't have to be too precise, and they don't even have to be same length. They can be different lengths. We're gonna eyeball it. Now, next piece would be to then draw my bird. And so you can see that overall the shape of the bird is a teardrop. I'm gonna put it upside down. So you can see that the body looks like a teardrop with another circle attached to it at the bottom. That's the head. So I'm going to hold my piece of cardboard with the bottom facing up like this, right? And I'm going to draw a nice teardrop and a circle at the bottom. So why don't I start with a circle? So if you actually do it with a pencil, you can then erase some of the overlap. I'm just going to use a pen because it's easier to see But if you want to make it more presentable, you can use a pencil instead of a pen. So I made the circle for the head. We can actually add the beak. Make sure the beak, which is a triangle, is facing towards the crease, right? So the beak has to be facing towards the crease itself. And it shouldn't reach all the way, so leave a gap there. And then I'm going to make a nice big teardrop all the way from the bottom. 1 and 2. Right, so here's my teardrop. Right, so here's my teardrop and the circle. I'll flip it upside down. I don't know if this makes easier sense for you to see. From the top, a teardrop, a very large teardrop, and a little head, which is a circle, and a triangle as the beak. So we're just improvising what would be our woodpecker. Once this is all ready, we're going to take our scissors and we're going to cut this out. And we're going to make sure that we're going to leave the crease in between the two straight lines here. So I just drew a mark here. So now you can see we're going to cut all along the edges, but leave this part here untouched. So what does that look like? So I'm going to start from this side. I'm going to cut out the hanging piece and one side of my teardrop. And then I'm going to do the entire body all the way like that, around the head. If you want to do it fancy, then you can actually add a little sticking feathers from the top, make it slightly more complicated. But for today, we're just going to do it nice and simple, around the beak, and then down the body again. And there we go. Okay, so what do we have now? Now we have a duplicate of the woodpecker. I'm going to take another piece of my cardboard, and I'm going to make sure that I know roughly what size I'm looking for. And again, I'm looking for a teardrop. So you can choose how big you want it. I'm just going to make it very roughly like this and make sure that it's smaller than the body. And obviously, you want to make sure that when you're cutting it out, you're leaving extra bit of cardboard paper like this, right? So I drew on one side, and when I fold it down the middle, I can then cut out two sides together and get identical wings. There we go. Okay. Now, if you feel like you're failing behind and you're not done with the body yet, I will encourage you to skip over the two wings. You can catch up later. Again, if you then go back to our page, this video will be posted later, and you can rewatch it, or you can also go to the Science Toy Maker website or Facebook page and download the printable and print out the whole instruction from there. I'm mindful of the time, and it's already 10:45, so why don't we move on to the next step. I'm not going to decorate it. I'm not going to color it. But when we're done, I will definitely love to see the pictures. So this is the one I made beforehand. So when you're done, I would be very happy to see your final products of your woodpeckers. But this is now the straw that we're going to cut to fit in here into that flap that we left hanging. So I'm going to cut down a straw, and you can see it's not a full-size straw because we already used some of it last week and some of it before prepping. So in this case, you can see that I can either measure, if I measured 2 centimeters or 1 inch or 2.5, I can measure the straw, but I can just put it roughly to make sure that it's the same width. And so it has to fit in here. And now what do I have? I have my body, I have the straw, and I'm gonna put it into the fold, like so. So I'm going to put it inside the fold, and I'm going to use tape. So either tape or hot glue. If you're using hot glue, make sure it's not too hot because it might melt your straw. But tape works perfectly fine for this purpose. So I'm going to tape it right down the middle where it's going to be folded. And so when we fold it onto itself, you can see that it's hiding in there in the middle, right? Here, I'll move closer to the camera. And oops, you can see how it's hiding inside, right? So there's a straw. Again, gluing the two pieces together, I can just use a nice backward folded piece of tape and just tape it onto the body. It doesn't have to be too stiff, but you can also use, again, glue gun or craft glue. It all works. And I'm just gonna glue my two wings. And again, if you want to decorate, I would encourage you to decorate the wings and the body separately beforehand so you don't ruin one over the other. And I have my two wings and my body and my wings together. Let's I'm just gonna put a little eye here so we can see what we're looking at. And here's the beak on one side, and on the other side, here's the eye, and here's the beak. And now for the fun part. For this, we need a rubber band. Now, if you're like me, you're probably collecting every single rubber band that comes your way, right? Is everybody like me? Do you like to collect rubber bands? So what we're looking for is a rubber band that is super long and super thin. The longer is better, the thinner is better. So I'm gonna use this. This looks pretty long and thin, and I'm gonna cut it in half. Or not in half, but cut it open. And now I can pass or slide the rubber band through the piece of straw, right? So make sure you get it through the straw. And then we're going to hold it up and stretch the elastic. I'm going to turn it back at me now. And as I'm going to hold the elastic band, and if kids are trying this, you might need to help them out because it's a bit cumbersome. So you can either hold your rubber band for them, or you can hold the beak, the bird for them. But I'm going to hold the bird up and stretch the elastic. Make sure it's away from your face so it doesn't hit your face if you let go by accident. And I'm going to let go and see if it's going to wobble. There we go. Now what's happening here? Again, if you go to the Science Toy Maker website, you can actually see the whole written explanation. But just as a quick, brief explanation, when something is hanging up high, it has a potential energy due to gravity. It's the same idea as if I hold this pen up high and I let go, it's going to drop like that, right? So when I let go of the bird, gravity pulls it down. But because of the elastic, you can see how it's oscillating back and forth due to the elasticity of the rubber band. So every time it wobbles back, forth, it's pushing on the elastic's pushing it back, and then it slides down a bit, and then go back, forth, slide. And if you remember our climbing puppet from last week, it's the same idea that at that tiny fraction of time where there is no friction between the rubber band and the bird, it's sliding slightly down. So if it's tilting, touching the rubber band, there's too much friction. If it's tilting the other way, there's too much friction. But in that instant when it's perfectly vertical, there is no friction, so it's going to drop a bit and then go back, drop, back, forth, drop, like that. So very similar idea as the friction climber, but this time we're using elasticity to make it wobble like that. Cool, eh? Okay, so at this point, I would like you to now stop with your arts and crafts, and I know you're going to play with it for hours on end, and I would love to see the end results of your amazing craftsmanship. Like I said, this is the one I made just before this video, so you can color it, you can make the the head red like a woodpecker. You can actually look up websites of pictures of what woodpeckers look like and maybe try to mimic the pattern to match a woodpecker. I want to use up the rest of the time because we have 10 more minutes before I let you go and work on the arts and crafts. I want to show you 2 fun tricks. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to show you a magic trick, and then I'm going to show you another little fun activity that takes literally 30 seconds. So for this one, we're going to use a deck of cards. So I hope you have a deck of cards with you. And I want you to shuffle the deck, so make sure you shuffle the deck. Okay, there we go. Okay, now, the most amazing part of this is that I can't see the cards in your hands. I can only see the cards in my hand. So I'm going to try and guess what cards you're looking for or looking at without actually ever seeing it. So here's what we're going to do. I want you to take your deck of cards, and I want you to shuffle it. Okay, so shuffle the deck of cards, and then randomly choose 9 cards. So I shuffle the deck, right? So the deck is now shuffled. Count 9 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cards. Now I shuffled the deck. You shuffled your deck of cards. I have no idea which cards you're looking at in your hand. But I'm going to show you my cards. So now I'm going to have square the deck, and then I want you to fan out the cards in front of you. I can't see your cards. You can only see my cards. But here's what we're going to do. I want you to fan the cards so you can see all 9 of them. Now, I need you to pick a card, but because I can't see your cards, I'm going to ask you to pick a card in a specific way. You've randomly looked at your deck. You've shuffled your deck. I don't even know the back of your cards, what it looks like. I don't know if you have a full deck or part of a deck, but I know that you've looked at your deck and you've counted 9 cards. And I forgot to mention, and it says so in the experiment right up, don't use jokers. We're only using the regular cards. No jokers are allowed. And so what I want you to do now is I want you to pick the 3rd card from the top. Now, if this is the deck and this is the top of the deck, then the 3rd card from the top is here. 1, 2, 3. So you're looking at the 3rd card, right? So you're looking at the 3rd card from the back. When you're looking at the faces, it is the 3rd card from the very furthest back card, right? So that's 1, that's 2, that's 3. So my deck, the 3rd card from the top is the Jack of Diamonds, right? It is the Jack of Diamonds. So now that we know the card, remember that card, right? So now you should remember what was your card. And I want you to follow my instructions as follows, right? We're going to spell out the name of the card in the following sequence. Each letter of the name of the card will be 1 card putting down. So in my case, it's Jack. So Jack is J-A-C-K. So I'm going to put J-A-C-K. That's my Jack. If you happen to have Queen, you want to use Q-U-E-E-N. If you're using the 6, then 6 is S-I-X. If you have a 7, of course, S-E-V-E-N, right? So depending on the name of the card, you want to put down the same number of cards as the name of that card. And whatever left in your hand, I want you to put on the top. Now, I'm going to take back my card again, my deck, right? And now, I want you to we're going to spell the whole name. So it's all the cards have the same middle part, which is of, right? 7 of hearts, Jack of diamonds, queens of spades. So we need to spell of, O-F. So I'm going to put 2 cards down, and the rest of the deck goes on the top in the same way, and I'm going to square it up. Square it off. There we go. Now the last part is the suit, right? So in my case, that was Jack of diamonds. I'm not sure what you had, but whatever that is, if it's diamonds or spades or clubs or hearts, make sure to spell it out. So in my case, it's diamonds, DIAMONDS, and whatever you're left in the hand, put it on the top as well. So now you have your chosen card somewhere in the deck. I've never seen your deck. I don't know what card you had, but now I want you to write down the sequence of the cards that you have in your hand. Okay? And we'll see if I look at the sequence. So from the top to bottom, you're gonna write down the suits, right? So 5 of hearts, 9 of diamonds, 3 of hearts, and so on and so forth until you write down all of the 9 cards in sequence from top to bottom. And I will look at the comments and see if I can guess which cards what was your choice of card, okay? So I'm gonna hold on for a sec and I'm gonna let you type down, right? Now you can use shorthand writing if you wanna use numbers instead of spelling it out. And if you wanna use H for hearts, C for clubs, S for spades, D for diamonds, you can use shorthand writing for your cards. But I wanna see if you can find where is that card of yours, okay? I'm going to look at the comments and see if anybody's writing it down now. No? Okay, so I'm going to show you what I get. So let's see now. I'm going to then spell my name and see if it works, right? So my name is a magical name. My first name is Alon, right? So I'm going to spell Alon, A-L-O-N. And if I got this right, then that card, that Jack of Diamonds, should be right here. What do you think about that? Now, if you got your act correctly, then it's not going to work necessarily with your names, but the magic goes that regardless of what the card was, if you count down 1, 2, 3, 4, number 5 will always be your card. And I'm not going to explain it to you. I'm going to let you try and figure out how come it works. Try it out at home, right? Try it out and tell me, why do you think it works? Will it work with any card, or does it always work with the Jack of Diamonds only, right? So, and I'll give you a hint, there's a bit of math in this, right? So this is a question of numbers. Is it important to have 9 cards? Will it work with 7 cards as well? Will it work with 5 cards? How about if I do it with 15 cards? Will that work as well? So ask yourself, what's the pattern that makes it work? And feel free to share that in your comments as well. We have 30 seconds left. So as I promised, this is my last 30 seconds experiment. You remember I asked you to make a hard-boiled egg, right? So here's my hard-boiled egg. It already cracked. So you can see it's hard-boiled. But I have 2 more here. I have 4. And in this pile, I have 4 eggs. 2 are raw and 2 are hard-boiled. And the question is, which one is which? Which one is a hard-boiled egg and which one is a raw egg? And now if I just made them, they would be hot to the touch. So I can feel it, which one is cold and which one is hot. But if they're all at room temperature and you don't know which is which, is there a better way of knowing without cracking a raw egg and making a whole mess? The answer is yes. So I'm going to take an egg and I want you to watch what's happening. Here, I'm going to spin it and watch it spin. But as soon as I spin it, I'm going to stop and let go. I'm going to stop and let go. And you can see what happens when I turn and I stop. It keeps moving. If I check another egg, let's see what this does. It does the same. And if I try egg number 3 and I stop, it stalls. How is it not moving? So this egg, when I spin and I stop, it stops. But this egg, when I spin and I stop, it keeps moving. The trick is momentum. The trick is that raw egg, so this is my raw egg, inside it's liquidy. And so when I spin it, the liquid spins really fast. So even if I stop it momentarily, that liquid inside still keeps moving and keeps the momentum going. And that's why the egg will keep rotating even though I touched it to stop it. On the other side, if I have the hardboard egg, it's now solid inside. And if I stop it, there's no internal motion to keep the motion moving again, even though I stopped it. So now that it's stopped, it's going to stop and stay there. It's the same idea as your seatbelt when you actually when you're riding along, there we go, in your car, if you stop, the momentum means that the body goes forward. And that's why you need a seatbelt. And the seatbelt will keep you fixed to the moving object. So when you move and you hit a bump, your body doesn't keep moving. It stays put together in one fixture with your vehicle. So that's why seatbelts are really, really important, because otherwise the momentum of motion inside the car, when the car stops, your body just wants to move further in. And we're going to hit the next thing it's going to get, whether the seat in front of it or the windshield, and that's dangerous. That's why seatbelts really save lives. So we talked about friction, we talked about gravity, we talked about momentum, we talked about math card tricks. I hope you enjoyed today's session. Leave your comments and feel free to reach out to us. If you think this one is a bit too short, tell us and we'll try and aim for 45 minutes next time. Have a great day. Stay safe at home, stay safe and healthy. Bye.